Hi, I'm Angel Davis, and you are listening to Verbally Naked, a podcast devoted to the enhancement of relationships. We're back.
Yes, we are.
I'm here with Mr. Peter Hermes.
Hello. We are back. It's 2018. We had to kind of abruptly end our last season.
We did, for those...
Our last episode, I think, was in maybe November.
Yeah, well...
Maybe even earlier than that.
Probably, yeah, maybe November, yeah.
And the reason is because we got pregnant.
We are pregnant for all of those millions of listeners out there.
Yes.
To this podcast.
So we got busy with that kind of life stuff.
It wasn't just that we got pregnant. It was that we got pregnant and the first trimester started to happen, and my body does not respond well to having babies.
To having people inside of you.
Yeah. So I got super sick is what happened. And
which we'll talk about in a future episode.
Yeah.
But that's why we ended our last season. I thought we had a pretty good season 2. We just didn't have a wrap up.
We didn't have a wrap up.
So that's kind of what we're doing right now.
I think people were brokenhearted by that.
Yeah. So anyway, last season, to remind any listeners that haven't heard it and need to go back and listen to all of them, we dealt with the media last
how
season.
Social media influences.
Not just social.
Well, you're right. Not
we
social,
did movies,
just media.
We did books. We did
quizzes,
magazines, and music, and dating apps.
Exactly.
Anything media and how
affects, it influences relationships.
Relationships, right? And so
we
abruptly ended that, and now we're back in February of 2018 with a new season 3.
That's right. She's having a baby.
And he's not prepared. And what we're going to talk about this season is, extending your family. Family planning stuff. That's kind of where we are. And so we want to talk about all of the ups and downs of pregnancy and adding to the family, the hopes and the fears. And,
And we're a different family. I mean, most of you know that I was a widow, and Peter was friends with my late husband. And so we just have a different dynamic in general, like a lot of blended families. So it's just kind of, how does this new addition play into what we've been developing for the last few years? So, some of the topics we're going to talk about, this journey started, unfortunately, with a miscarriage.
Right.
So we'll be talking about that, and and then the first trimester,
right?
And what that's like, not only just going through the first trimester, but also as a person that's my age, and we will get into that when it's time to get into that about my age.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just preparing Brian for our daughter for a new sibling.
She's excited.
She's very excited.
She's getting a brother. Oh, did I let the cat out of the bag?
But also dealing with, how that all ties into when, one of the parents of said sibling has passed away, and just kind of those dynamics. Also,
and then where I fall in that with her.
Absolutely. And we're about to go through an adoption process with her.
Just because Angel and I married, that doesn't give me
any rights,
any real legal standing. So we're going to go through the adoption process. We're going to talk about that.
We're in the middle of that process, and we will discuss that.
So by the time that the baby's born, we are all like a real, and not that we're not a real family, but it's all on the books. But from a legal
standpoint, everything is established. And then also kind of how, pregnancy affects the intimacy of relationships, and how do you maintain that?
Sure.
And especially through all the emotions that we, as our family, is going through, has gone through, just how do you keep the intimacy going, and then our hopes and fears.
That's a big one.
In dealing with this new baby, this new child.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about how we came up with the baby's name.
And other things as we push into the future.
Yeah.
And that episode will take us right up almost to the birth. So
right.
we're looking at about an 8-week or so season, and we're about 9 weeks. No, I'm sorry, 16 weeks, because we're going to do an episode every other week.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the baby is not coming in 8 weeks.
It sure isn't. Listen, you are not coming in 8 weeks. Do not come early.
We're about 4 months away.
Yeah.
So that's going to take us right up to the birth, so you can experience everything that we experience as we get to them. So as far as the last thing you talked about, the hopes and the fears.
Yeah.
You've been through this before. You are already a mother, a biological. I mean, I'm a dad. I'm a stepdad or a bonus dad.
Right.
But I don't have any biological children. You've been pregnant before. You've given birth before.
I have.
And so you're old hat at this. On the other hand,
guys, I'm like a pro.
That's
Hello.
right.
I'm like the best parent ever.
And I'm like a rank amateur who stepped in post diaper years, and started helping to raise she was 4 or 5.
She was 5.
She was 5 when I showed up, and so I missed all of the fun, dirty years. So this will be my first biological child, and so we wanted to talk
starting from the beginning,
right? And so we wanted to talk a little bit about, the differences between, Angel and I. She's the expert here, and it's good. I think that having gone through this before, she's informed on what's coming and what's about to happen, whereas I am totally in the dark. And I assume during your first pregnancy with Brian, you and Brad had no idea what was happening.
Especially because we weren't ever planning on having children. So, we did what logical people do. We looked at a lot of books and did some research and all of those things. And some of those were really beneficial. When Peter says, obviously I've done this before. I mean, we're talking about the things that I know to expect. Obviously, there are plenty of things I cannot predict, and that I don't know because this child's going to be completely different. But for me, one of the things that I have to consider, I mean, it's been an interesting road physically for me, but some of the things that I don't get as excited about, you do, because you have never.
Sure. I've never been through this.
Yeah.
I'm very excited and stressed out, and I don't know what to expect. Day by day, we're in week 23 of a 39 week pregnancy, basically a 40 week. So we're a little bit over halfway there, and every day since Angel came to me and said that that we were pregnant, every day is just a learning experience. Just watching, her grow, and where we can feel the baby kicking and things like that. And there's certain things I had no idea about. She can't lay on her back for extended periods of time.
Right.
And, there are just things that this is all new ground for me. And so.
And for me, since it's very easy to be sort of cynical or maybe even annoyed, at certain questions he may ask, or like he may be like, ooh, let me, whatever. And I'm just like, it's not. And then it's like, I have to stop and remember, hey, like it's not that it's not exciting. It is exciting. But I have to stop and remember that he's never gone through this before. And it's important for us to communicate well together through that process.
Sounds like we've got the guys working outside. So this will take 2 seconds. We'll have a little ambience. But there's no reason to stop.
Sexy ambiance with that.
That's right.
Little yard work.
Little leaf blower. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I am literally full of questions, and you're probably just like,
Well, I mean, there's some times where he'll want to, talk to the baby, feel the baby, obviously. And I just want to go either take a shower or lay down or whatever. Because I'm just sort of like, right. He's doing what he does. He punches or he does whatever. And then I have to, again, be present, and aware. Oh, right. Yeah. So then there's some times where even when I'm tired, even when I'm whatever, if Peter's not in the room or he is like checking email or something on his phone, I will grab his hand.
That's right.
Or even when we're at the movies, we've been going to the movies lately, and I'll grab his hand and put it somewhere so that he can, feel what's happening.
The first time I felt that pulse.
What was that like?
It wasn't a kick. It really wasn't anything discernible. It was just a feeling, and it made it real. Like obviously knew we were pregnant, but I didn't know what it's not really real. Well, I understand it's not real until you see the baby.
Well, you can't physically experience, and this is the only way for you to really get that.
So she put my hand on her belly, and I didn't feel anything, and I just held it there, and like I wasn't being patient. I was like, "Where is he? Where is he?" and finally I felt this pulse. This I can't even describe it.
A little tap.
A little tap, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's something in there. There's a dude in there."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was exciting, and now he's a kung fu master.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's moving around a lot. We've just gotten to the point where you can start to physically see either a ripple or see the pulse that we're talking about, the little kick punch that you can actually see my stomach move up and down. So, and even for me, that's exciting, but it's more like, I feel like with this pregnancy, everything, and because of what we've been through, it is more a clinical situation for me. So when I see it happening, I go, oh, okay, he's breathing.
Right.
Great. You're still doing all those things. Great. You're moving around. How many times have you kicked me in the last, have you moved around the last 30 minutes? Whereas for him, for you, it's more like, oh, we're at this stage where I can see it happening. And yeah. And
looking at the sonograms is.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I have them all posted
above
my desk in the office.
He does.
I got the first one. I guess you get it 10 weeks or so. And then I've got a 12-week, and then I've got like a 20-week, and you can watch.
You've got the whole progression.
Yeah, and so the next one will be 30 some. I mean, it's coming, and it's just I'm tracking his growth.
Yes,
he's looking good. Everything seems okay. The doctors are happy.
They are, but that's the thing, though. You have all the photos,
because you don't care about this child.
Don't say that. He has ears. He can hear now. No, but again, I'm tracking more from the standpoint of just making sure that clinically everything is going well. And, even I, though, when I have my moments either before you come to bed or maybe if I'm in the shower where I do spend some time thinking, oh, this is my son in here. Wow. And having those moments. But, for me, I'm just trying to physically get through it.
That's right.
It's kind of like just eye on the prize. How are we doing in there? What do you need? What can I do? And then let's do this again tomorrow. So it is different being our second, which, I hear from a lot of parents that, it's very second child mode I'm in.
Sure.
But it's nice to have you as a counterpoint for me to think about, oh yeah,
This is exciting.
We're
creating life.
This is scary. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. Like I said, I mean, it's a lot of things. And sometimes you ask me questions and I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I have to go look it up because it's been 7 years since I had my daughter. So I don't remember every aspect of pregnancy. I certainly remember all the bad. And
mm-hmm.
I had quite a few similarities with this one. But
just being nauseous.
Yeah. Just
not bad news.
Not bad. No. But
just not, your diet, your wants and dislikes of food, and
quite different than they were with the first pregnancy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
My son likes fast food and a lot of sugar and ice creams and burgers.
Yeah,
we're not sure what kind of boy
at weird times. Yeah. But and the only reason why that's funny is because just me normally I don't eat that way. Like right. He doesn't know me as that person. But yes, especially more in the beginning, I would say than now. Now we're kind of back to being able to cook. I'm able to do a lot more.
Well, that first few weeks, which we'll talk about in a future episode.
Yeah.
I learned how to be a short order cook.
Yeah,
and a delivery driver. I was constantly, what do you want today? There was no stockpiling the refrigerator because today she wants chocolate mousse. Tomorrow, I never want to eat chocolate mousse ever again in my life.
If you bring me chocolate mousse, I will kill you.
So I learned that pretty quickly because I was like, oh my gosh, she likes macaroni and cheese today. I'm just going to stock the shelves with macaroni and cheese. Yeah. And then the next day, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all this mac and cheese?
It's still there.
I don't want to eat it.
No.
So I learned, that just take it day by day, and that's kind of been our mantra.
Yeah.
Because again, we'll talk about the miscarriage in the future also, but like once that happened, we were very once bitten, twice shy. And so at the very early stage of this pregnancy, we were literally like, just take it day by day. This could go south at any moment. We've been through that, and it took us a long time. I'm finally past that, where I was like, once we went in and, we're past the halfway mark.
Yeah. Well, I would
only
say
something extreme would cause an end.
Which is not to say that it's out of the,
well, of course,
but there are certain milestones we have hit that have certainly given us more and more confidence and more reprieve from feeling, as anxious as we have, certainly in the beginning.
I think my concerns have shifted from will this be, a live birth to will this boy be and we'll talk about the hopes and fears.
Will it be a masculine child?
No. But will he be well adapted? Will he be healthy? Not just in the sense of he's a viable baby, but will he be mentally healthy? Will he be, all of those are now my concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Not. Is this baby going to
they're
survive?
Concerns that they can't predict until he comes out.
Exactly. And that's where my concerns have shifted.
Yeah. But just for parents that are kind of in our situation where one has, been through it and the other parent hasn't, I think it's just what's important for me to talk about in this situation, or what I want to leave, you guys with, is just, again, Peter's dynamic helps me relate to this pregnancy in a way that is more enjoyable. That keeps me definitely making this pregnancy what it is, which is its own thing. I think I would sometime, if it weren't for you, I think I would miss some of the joyful moments that happen in pregnancy. And I think I would also spend a lot more time comparing the two pregnancies.
Okay.
Whereas your what you bring to this, your questions, your whatever, makes me go, oh yeah, it's still its own thing. So, I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but there are clinical things that happen in every pregnancy that you can expect, but then there are those things that don't, that are just relative to the pregnancy at hand. And I think you just keep me present of mind with that. But then I think that for you, maybe I settle some of the anxiousness a little bit, because I'll be like, no, that's completely normal. And you're like, oh, okay.
Well, I'm constantly asking, has he moved in the last,
yeah.
Is he still alive? Is he moving?
Yeah. Well, that's viable. That's a viable question that you should ask.
I assume that you would tell me if you hadn't felt him move in a week.
Well, yeah.
Like, eh.
But also, again, if I haven't been paying attention, then it makes me start paying attention.
Oh, sure.
Because there are certain things, like when I'm working out and I'm doing things, I don't feel him at all. But he's not really on my mind at that point. I'm making sure that I'm not hurting myself, and I'm mindful of that. But when I'm working out, I'm in the zone, and I'm dancing or I'm doing karate or whatever, and I don't necessarily pay attention.
Right.
And so it is good when you say that, where I'm like, oh, yeah, let me check in and see how it's going. So I think there's just benefits to having the dynamic that we have. Sure. But I just don't want people to become, I guess patience is what I'm saying. You're patient with me. I'm patient with you. I don't think we've ever gotten into a tiff about stop asking me questions or,
no.
But I can see how that can become annoying or whatever. I can see how I can escalate to that. So just communicating is always, it's always the number one thing.
Right. That is true. And we are good at that most of the time.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there you go. That's where we are. We're pregnant and we're 4-ish months out.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring you along for the journey.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that this is a topic that definitely a lot of people experience, and just want to, share our ups and downs and hopes that, if for those that might be listening, that they benefit from it.
Right.
So next podcast, which will be in
next time, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Fridays.
Yeah.
Okay. So next podcast we want to talk about.
We're going to start from the beginning of this this journey that we're now on, and it's unfortunately started with a miscarriage.
Right.
And so we're just going to talk about that in a little bit more detail than I've discussed, in my blog. And
we can devote an entire season podcast to a miscarriage. So
yeah,
we're going to just do one episode, but it'll be cathartic.
It will be.
And if you've never been through a miscarriage, you'll experience a little bit of what we went through, and we hope that you never do.
Yeah, gosh, we do. But for those that have, then I'm sure that you'll relate.
Yeah.
To some of the things that we'll be talking about. So, Peter Hermes,
Angel Davis,
you want to meet me back here in 2 weeks?
2 weeks, same bat channel, same bat.
You don't even know. You don't even know.
I don't even know.
So, so we'll be back with She's Having a Baby. This is Verbally Naked Season 3.
That's right.
And as always, live big.